During World War II, France's state-run railway known as SNCF transported thousands of Jews to their deaths in Nazi prison camps. Now today, that same company is the majority stockholder bidding on a light rail project in the U.S. state of Maryland, very close to where we're standing here in Washington.
Yep, and some Maryland lawmakers are pushing for SNCF to pay reparations to Holocaust victims and their families before participating in the project. VOA's Carla Babb talked with me about their concerns. We should mention at the top of the story that this story contains some disturbing images.
My maternal grandparents, my paternal great-grandparents, and I also lost my aunt, my father's sister. The suffering didn't end in the gas chambers and the crematoria of Auschwitz.
Maryland resident LIGHTMAN cherishes keepsakes of her family, lost in the Holocaust.
It was heartbreaking being there in her house with all of the things that she had from her family members, especially when she started going through the letters. Some of the letters from her grandfather talked about how he was getting hungry and talked about how he wished the family well because he had missed a wedding. And having her read that and she would start to choke up, it made me want to choke up as well. It was just hard to think about losing somebody in such a horrific way.
LIGHTMAN's family members were among 76,000 people, mostly Jews, transported by SNCF rail to Nazi death camps.
They were paid per head per kilometer to transport people, human beings. They were complicit and they need to be held accountable.
So what are the two sides of the story?
Well, the two sides of the story are the Holocaust survivors and their family members. And what they want is they want this rail company that's bidding on building this rail line in Maryland to pay reparations and to come out and take responsibility for their actions during the Holocaust. On the flip side, the rail company says it was World War II. It was 1940, Germany, France. German troops had overrun France and we were put under their control. So we weren't complicit, we were forced to do this.
800 were executed because they had disobeyed orders. Another 1,200 were deported and murdered in deportation. So when I hear that we somehow were complicit, I say, were we really complicit with more than 2,100 of our own employees being murdered by the Nazis?
It's a very tough situation because you can understand both sides. You can understand the hurt and the loss on one side, and you can understand how the company lost people as well. So it's one of those things that a lot of people are turning to the American government and the French government to sort out.
Critics would argue that Ellen or the LIGHTMAN family is just after money, and the railroad company or the light rail company will be helping thousands of people by setting up this light rail service. What does the LIGHTMAN family have to say about that?
Well, Ellen LIGHTMAN and some of the other people who are bringing this up, one of them was Leo Brett Holtz, and he passed away just a couple weeks ago. And he was very adamant about saying it's not about money, it's about a symbol of saying we're sorry, we take responsibility. And the way Ellen LIGHTMAN explained it to me, she said they did not show any interest in talking to us until we started using money as a medium. She said money is the only way this company is going to say that they're sorry.
It seems pretty complex. It seems like a pretty complex case. Where do you think it's going to end up, or where do you think it's going to go?
As an international lawyer that I spoke with said, France has already paid reparations to citizens in 4 other countries. So right now, the United States and France are trying to talk about how reparations can be received by U.S. citizens that were affected by the Holocaust in France.
It is actually the French government that needs to get off the dime and provide for the U.S. what it has for 4 other countries.
Officials close to this are saying that they're hoping to sort something out by the end of this summer. And that's well ahead of any sort of time frame for this purple line in Maryland, because this line, the bidding process, is in 2015. There are other companies that are bidding for this. So this is strictly just about SNCF's bid.
And again, that was VOA's Carla Babb. Now, it's interesting to note, Imran, that this push for groups with Nazi ties to compensate Holocaust victims here in the U.S. is not a new thing at all. It's actually been underway since the 1990s.